Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Born Too Late with Josh and Jay. Tonight we are pleased to welcome Greg Lonesome. Greg is the host of the Rock N Roll Manifesto, a weekly live internet radio show bringing you punk rock, psychobilly, rockabilly, classic country, alt country, garage, glam, metal, hardcore, power pop, teddy boy, pub rock, blues, doo-wop, soul, R&B, and more, sometimes all in one show. The show, which started in 2010, currently airs every Wednesday night from 7:45 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Real Punk Radio. Beyond the Rock N Roll Manifesto, Greg is also well known as a member of bands like the Lonesome Kings and Tortured Souls. We are pleased to welcome you to the show, Greg. How's it going?
It's fantastic. Thanks for having me on. It's going to be a blast, I have a feeling.
We're excited to have you join. Jay is unable to join us tonight as he is in transit.
Yeah, that's a bummer, but
when I told him that you were going to be on the show, he was like, "Wow, that guy's a legend." So,
what?
Yeah, so he was very, very excited.
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah,
okay.
It was cool that he was so stoked to have you on.
That's really cool. That's fantastic. I'm blown away. I'm humbled. All right.
So let's go ahead
already.
Let's go ahead and get started here. So you're known, of course, for your worldwide renowned radio show, but you've also been in several bands, most notably the Lonesome Kings. Could you tell us a little about the history of the Lonesome Kings?
Lonesome Kings. Yeah, funny you should mention that. I just, for the first time in 16 years, saw those guys. We were all in the same room at the same time for the first time in 16 years last night.
Wow.
And that was a trip. That was great. We're supposed to meet up again. Two of the guys live in California now, so it's, not often that we get to do that. But yeah, they came out. Our drummer, Handsome Johnny, he works for Sotheby's, does automobilia auctions. And so he's here for the Hershey Car Show. So Scott came out as well at the same time, and we all got to hang out. So very cool. But as far as history goes, we were kind of a band before we ever had our first practice. Like Scott and at the time, Doc Holliday on guitar. Scott and Doc did not know how to play their instruments at the time. They kind of learned their instruments to be in this band.
Wow.
So it was like, we started from the ground up, and those guys learned their instruments in like no time. And so we started practicing February of 1999. And by August, we recorded our first demo, which was 7 songs. And then I think we played our first gig the week after that. I think that was August as well. Might have been early September. But that demo, then those 7 songs we recorded for a demo, we could decide to just put it out on a CD ourselves, CDRs, whatever. And then I sent it to Raucous Records in England, and he was like, "It'd be really easy for me to put this out. You want me to put this out?" I'm like, "Okay, sure." So, like by the end of, it was like mid 2000, we had a CD out on Raucous Records, which was cool. Now that I look back, the recordings are kind of rough. But it is what it is. It's a snapshot of the time, And we were young and green, and so that was cool. And then I would say, let's see, the original lineup lasted until about 2000. Yeah, we only lasted till like we put out a 7-inch. I think it was probably about a year later, something like that. And then our drummer quit, and then our guitar player kind of wanted to go more like in a country way, and Scott and I were kind of like, well, we're already kind of known for what we're doing, you know what I mean? And we didn't want to we didn't want to change. So parted ways with our original guitar player, and then in came Ryan, Ryan's 7 years younger than me. He was like 17, maybe 18 at the time he joined the band. And then Handsome Johnny was our new drummer. Me and him had tried to form a band before, in between. I had a band from 94 to 96 called Bad Luck Streak. And after that broke up, I had been trying for like 3 years to get a band going. So there was, intermittent stuff with people trying to happen, but nothing ever came of it. But Johnny and I had played together, a few times. And so he was the first person I called when we needed a drummer, because he was a fantastic drummer. And the second lineup of the Lonesome Kings from, say, late 2000 to 2004 was pretty much the one that people know, I would say. We released 7-inch, 2 albums, and of course the one album was posthumous, but it came out 2006, and our last gig was like June or July of 2004. So yeah, it was kind of a blur, but we made a mark at the time. And I mean, it wasn't like we were huge or anything. I'm not getting like that, but there was a time in the psychobilly scene where if you went to a festival in Europe, you would see a Lonesome King shirt, guaranteed. So it was like we got our name out there. Like one of the first people that got Shotgun Full of Blues and kind of reviewed it on Psychobilly Online was Hammer from Batmobile, the singer of Batmobile, and guitar player as well. And he loved it, which that was a big boost, So that was really cool. And actually recorded a song with Hammer, Batmobile, and Batmobile. Later on, we did a Elvis cover for an Elvis tribute one time, which was cool. And Mad Dog Cole from the Crewmen covered our song Hell's What I'm Used To on his first solo album that he did in 2006 or something like that. So yeah, it was we made a little bit of an impact, which was kind of cool. But never really toured. I mean, we never went to England. We never, we only stayed. We went as far down south as Atlanta, and probably I don't even think we went as far west as Pittsburgh ever. I think it was like New York, New Jersey, Baltimore, maybe Virginia, maybe Delaware. I don't know. That's about it. I mean, we really, we played in Harrisburg as little as possible because there was really no point. But yeah, it was a fun time, definitely a fun time. And, we were serious about what we were doing. And I think we wrote some really cool songs, and we were actually almost finished remixing Shotgun Full of Blues for the 20th anniversary reissue. We're trying to do a double LP.
Ooh.
And of course, it's going to have the original album remixed, remastered. And it sounds, as soon as we're done with the mixes, I'll send them to you so you can hear them. It sounds so much better. I mean, it's a world apart from, because we mixed it ourselves the first time and we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We just, kept doing it, messing with this, messing with that, and after a while, we kind of got sick of it. We were like, yeah, we're done, and it was what it was, So, but yeah, we're supposed to be hopefully doing a double LP in 2023, and it'll have, the full album and then another album full of, we got some remixes. Hammer from Batmobile remixed one of the songs. Stevie Tombstone from the Tombstones remixed our cover of Jailhouse Tattoo. And we may have another 1 or 2 guest mixes on there. Plus we have unreleased tracks and alternate versions and stuff, so it should be pretty cool. It's going to be a pretty big undertaking, but we're already halfway there. So just have to figure out what the bonus tracks are going to be for sure.
Something to look forward to in 2023.
Yeah, we're already working on it. We're plugging away. We've been mixing since since January, I think. we're not doing it ourselves. We have a guy that's doing it. Matt at Rocket Vault Studios. Matt sings for a band called Radio Hate, street punk band from Wisconsin. And a real cool guy, really great to work with as well. So if anybody out there needs mixing or mastering or whatever work done, Rocket Vault Studios, just throwing that out there. He's not paying me to do that. I like to drop names of people who do good work and are very cool to work with. So throw that out there.
Fantastic. So I'd love to hear about how the Rock and Roll Manifesto first came to be. What was the original inspiration for the show, and how did you go about launching the show?
Okay. So back in 2006, I was working at a job, and a guy there that I worked with was like always talking about podcasts. And at the time, I didn't even have an iPod, or whatever. And he was like talking about these podcast stuff. I'm like, what the hell's a podcast? And he starts explaining to me. So I'm like, oh, so yeah, people just playing music? I'm like, I could fucking do that. So I never heard a podcast. I just went and made one. It was called the Sleaze Pit. Now I was super lazy and it was very, very sporadic. And if it wasn't for a handful of people that actually listened to it and would once in a while nudge me and say, hey, when you put another episode out, I may have quit, But so 2006, trying to think. Oh, I started 2006. And so right around 2009, I was friends with Michael Kaiser. Me and Michael Kaiser from Radio Oblivion, we had a record label with another guy called Kaiser Records. This is like back 2005, 2006, whatever. And he had gotten his show, Radio Oblivion, on a new punk rock radio station called Real Punk Radio. And when he got that gig, he told Jason, who ran Real Punk Radio at the time, he said, hey, this guy does this show called The Sleaze Pit. You should get him on. And so that's how that happened. And so I was on Real Punk Radio from, I think, January, February 2010 is when I first started on there. And I was doing a show every week. I think it was every week. It was every week, every month. I don't know. It's been a while. But it was not as frequent as the manifesto is. But everybody was like, dude, once you go live, you'll never go back. And I'm thinking, I was always like, I don't even like to talk on the podcast. It takes me like 10 times to say what I want to say, So I was all like nervous and kind of put it off for a long time. I was like, I can't do that. I can't, So finally, in July of 2010, they talked me into it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. And sure enough, I was hooked, because it was like, what do you mean? I don't have to do any post-production work. I don't have to edit shit. I just got to go on live and do the show and put it out there. Like, it was just so much easier, and more fun too, because there's a chat and there's people coming in, chatting while you're playing live. And, it's just a lot more interaction to it. So I just got addicted to that, and it was like, yes, awesome. So that's how the Rock and Roll Manifesto started. When I was thinking about doing a live show, my daughter had just been born in 2009, and I'm like, I'm not going to call it the Sleaze Pit, So I was like, I had to think of a new name, and one of my favorite bands in the whole world is the Shods, and they have a song called Rock and Roll Manifesto, and that was the first thing that came to my head. I was like, Rock and Roll Manifesto, that's what it's got to be. And that's what I did. I made that intro. The intro you hear today is the same intro I made 11 years ago. Haven't changed it since. I changed it one time for the 500th episode. Did something a little different, but I always went back, So same intro for the last 11 years plus. And that's how it came about. Michael Kaiser got me on Real Punk Radio. They talked me into going live and been live ever since. So it's been a hell of a ride, I must say.
I would say so. So when you started the show, the whole concept, the idea of podcasting, internet radio, that was still kind of relatively new. But
Yeah,
in
it
the
was.
years since then, that whole medium has just exploded. I mean, now clearly any idiot can start a podcast. So
Yeah,
think of
that
the
is true.
volume of content out there for audio programming. It's just staggering. There's just so much. There's a podcast for everything. So for
Yes.
you, how is running a radio show different now compared to what it might have been a decade ago?
I think I mean I still do stuff the same way. I don't think I'm much different. Maybe my format of my show has evolved a little bit over time, but I'm kind of a Luddite when it comes to some of this stuff. I'm not trying to. Even when I was on Facebook, it was like promoting it was just like kind of secondary for me. I just wanted to do it. I just wanted to play the music because I love the music. I mean, when I grew up, I was the guy that was making mixtapes for everybody, and then I was making mix CDs for everybody. And so it was kind of a natural progression. So it was just an extension of what I've been doing since I was a kid, and it was just so much fun. As far as things that have changed, I mean, it took me, and I've been on Real Punk Radio since 2010, and they've been, they're not, Real Punk Radio isn't huge. I wouldn't say, that they're, because I mean, like on a live show, right? We're lucky to have, say, 30 to 40 people listening live. Now downloads is a lot different. I mean, last 7 days or so, I had over 2,000 downloads. So it definitely has grown, or my podcast, whatever show has grown over the years, but I don't think I do much different. I just know that there's so much more out there, like you said, and yet any idiot can make a podcast. The thing that they don't realize is the commitment that it takes to do this every week and to deliver good content every week. And I think that's where, I mean, I have some shows that are better than others, obviously everybody does, but I think that it's easy for people to think, oh, I can do that. And then they'll do an episode, they'll do maybe 3, if they're lucky, they'll last a couple months and then they're gone. And so I think that a lot of stuff gets weeded out that way. And I had one of my listeners recently was like, I went through punk rock podcast after punk rock podcast and they all sucked. And he's like, and then I got to yours and I was like, this guy's like professional. He knows what he's doing, And it was like, he was like real sick of people just like, they just want to hear themselves talk, And I'm kind of the opposite where I don't want to talk. I just want to play the music and let that do the talking. And I want to talk as little as possible. I'll try to give pertinent information when I can, or, information about their websites or that kind of thing. But I'm not on some diatribe all the time, trying to, I don't know, inflate my own ego or whatever. I don't know. I just want to help the bands. I want to be the guy that I wanted to have around when I was in a band, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Somebody on your side. And that's kind of how I have approached things all these years with the manifesto is like, I will chase bands down. If they're good and I want to play them on my show, I will, every time I talk to them, like, hey, what's going on? Is anything new coming? What's going on? Let me know. Give me some new songs. I'll play them. I'm always looking for that. And maybe that's some of the difference as well. I don't know, but I'm kind of in a bubble when it comes to, I don't listen to podcasts. I never really did. I would listen to Radio Oblivion back in the day, and I do listen to Tommy Unit live. He's on right after me on Wednesday nights, and I would listen to Gone Mental. Unfortunately, that's no longer going on, but those are my favorite shows that I listen to. But they were all Real Punk Radio guys. So been kind of in a bubble there where I don't really worry about what's going on with other shows because it doesn't affect me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't
So
know.
do you do much in the way of promotion, or do you put most of your effort into the delivering a quality content?
I mean, I don't do a lot of promotion. No, I mean, I'm on Instagram, and when I put a show up, when I'm going to go live, I'll put something up. I'll put it on Twitter, and when the show's over, I'll post the show on my blog, and that gets pushed out to all the podcasting services, whatever. And then I'll post about it on Instagram and Twitter, and that's about it. I don't do anything else. I put it on my Patreon, but that's only for the subscribers. So I don't do a lot of advertising or social media stuff, really. Now I do post a lot on Instagram, records and hot sauce and beer and whatever, but I'm not always like pushing my show. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm not good at self-promotion. In fact, like I kind of kick myself because I don't even talk about my Patreon on my show most of the time. I just get like, all I want to do is talk about the music. It's hard for me to like get out of that box and promote myself. So like lately I've been like recording my own ads to like slip in the show because I know I won't do it myself. So yeah, that's been a rough point for me, is trying to promote. Cause I mean, you know, when I was on Facebook still, like I had my own page for only maybe a year or two, and I got rid of that, blew that up. I was like, fuck that. But I had a dummy account so I could post my show still on Real Punk Radio, their Facebook page. But I haven't been on there for at least 5-6 years. And I don't think I'm getting any less hits because of it. It was like you would post your show and it'd be tumbleweeds. You know, you might get 1 or 2 likes. Nobody comments. Nobody, you know, it was pointless anyway. It seemed like. Instagram, I think, is a bit better for that. I do get a bit more of a response on Instagram, but that may just be because my show's a little more well known now. I don't know, because I mean, Twitter's still tumbleweeds most of the time, you know, but nothing you can do about that. But the numbers don't lie. I mean, my numbers have continually gone up from. I mean, it took me like 8 years to get to 250,000 downloads, and then it took like maybe 3 years to get the next 250,000. So there's definitely some forward momentum going there, which is nice to see. I mean, I think I hit 500,000 a couple months back.
Wow.
Which, you know, for me, it was a milestone. I mean, you get some of these guys, famous people or whatever, they do a podcast and the first one has, you know, fucking 5 million downloads. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not a drop in the bucket, really, in the grand scheme of things. So I'm not thinking I'm big time or anything like that. That's for sure. But, you know, it's still a good feeling, a good personal accomplishment to get that 500,000 downloads was a nice, you know, kind of a nice thing.
Yeah, I personally, I hate self-promoting. And so as a blogger, I've never really done a whole lot of it. I've always just counted on the sort of the grassroots following, building it up slowly over time.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think that's the way to go. I really think organically growing is much better because it's all by word of mouth. So it's more of a true thing. People that are going to talk about it and tell other people are people that are enamored with the product. They like what you do, and they like it so much that they listen all the time, and then they tell friends to listen to it or tell bands to send you their stuff and that kind of thing. So yeah, I really think that the organically growing is a much more rewarding thing than paying for advertisements, which are going to reach a bunch of people who are not going to care. And you may get a couple of hits out of it, but are those people really going to listen? maybe 1 out of 10, 1 out of 100. I don't know. Hard to say. But yeah, I just think the organic thing is the way to go for sure. It's slow, but
Yeah.
Once you get the momentum going, you're not going to lose it, probably, hopefully.
So now we're going to get to the fun portion of the interview and start talking about some bands.
All right, that sounds good.
We both love. So
that's my favorite thing. Yes.
Last year, you released Volume 1 of the Rock N Roll Manifesto 7-inch series. Great bands on there. Tiger Touch, Fret Rattles, JJ and the Real Jerks, Missile Studs, who I love. So that was a really phenomenal compilation. What kind of plans do you have to continue with that series?
Well, I have 2 in the works right now, actually. One is very close to going off to press. So I would say for quite a while now, I would say maybe even the last year, over a year, I had an unreleased track from the Mannequins.
Ooh.
Soon after that, I got an unreleased track from Miscalculations.
Wow.
And the third track we got is a track from the Judex. The fourth track, which I have not been able to announce until just last night on my or Wednesday night on my show, the fourth band is none other than Sonny Vincent.
Oh.
And it would originally, I've been talking to Sonny since probably April. And he was like, hey, it's going to take me a while, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't care. If you want to be on it, I'm waiting for you. You know what I mean? It's Sonny fucking Vincent, right? And so it kind of, you know, it's been going on and on and on. And, you know, you don't want to bug a guy like that. You just want to give him his space. And, you know, you don't want to be an asshole. You don't want to be pushy. So I just kind of like, you know, let it go, waiting. So about a week or 2 ago, after Snake Pit Therapy dropped his newest record, one of the songs on there, it's called Japan Mofo. I was like, Sonny, what about using this song? Just figuring maybe I could like expedite it, you know. It's a song that's already done. You know, I already have the lyrics for it. I have the personnel. You know, we can throw all that in the art and get it done real fast. And he was like, yeah, cool. And then a few things transpired, and he was like, I'm going to send you an unreleased track. I can get it to you in 3 days.
Oh.
And I'm like, fuck, that's what we wanted in the first place, was an unreleased track. But I was looking to just expedite things and get it off to the pressing plant because, like I said, we probably could have sent this off over the summer, you know, if everything would have fell in line. But that didn't happen. And anyway, he's like, I'll get you a new song in like 3 days. So sure enough, like 3 days later, he's like, I got a rough mix for you. He's like, you know, this is going to be so much better for your record. Like, it's unreleased. It's never been, you know, out there before. It's exclusive to your record. I'm like, and it's like dream come true shit. Like, pinch me. Hello. You know? And so right now we're just waiting on the mix to be finalized, which could be maybe another week or 2. And then he's got to send me a new photograph and the lyrics and stuff. We'll get that plugged in because the artwork is done. It's been done pretty much. Front and back covers have been done for quite a while now. And Rob just basically did almost the whole insert. You know, he'll have to replace the Sonny Vincent information because it's all going to be new. But, I mean, all the hard work is done. So all we got to do then is make sure that the masters for the vinyl is good and send it off to the pressing plant. We're ready to go. So that's going to be the next one in line. And, you know, with the pressing plant backups right now, we're probably talking 6 months. So even if we get it off in November sometime, it won't be till May, probably. Unless we can find some place that's quicker, but I don't think we are. And to be honest, we've been working with Pirates Press, and I love working with Pirates Press. and they do direct metal mastering, which cuts out a step and cuts out about $300, so you don't have to get lacquers made and all that stuff. So I'm probably going to go with them anyway. So I'm really excited about that one. I really can't wait to get that off the press. I mean, it was so hard to not be able to. I didn't want to talk about the Sonny Vincent thing until it was real. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to jinx it. I know I'm gonna announce it, and then he's gonna be like, "Ah, fuck that," you know. So it's totally I only told very few people because I was like, I gotta keep this under wraps, man, because I don't want to jinx it. And it's finally happening. I mean, I got him locked in now. The new song's on the way. I already paid him, so it's good as gold. So as soon as we get the song and get the artwork done, we're going to send it off to pressing plant. So hopefully in about 6 months or so, maybe 7, we'll have a new Volume 2 Manifesto singles series. And for the third one, we also have a pretty fucking killer lineup, I must say. And this has been announced on my show already, so I'm not worried about it. We got Some Hearts. I don't know if you've heard them or not. They have a hit record in my eyes called Black Cherry Soda, which is a power pop fucking masterpiece. If you haven't heard it yet, go check it out on Bandcamp, or I can even send it to you, whatever. It's song of the year material. They are letting me have that song for the compilation. Ex-Gentlemen broke up pretty much a few years back. They never really released a whole lot, but they've been one of my favorite bands, and some of their songs have only ever been released on my digital compilations. So one of the songs that was released, I don't know if it was Mixtape Volume 1 or Volume 2. I think it might have been Mixtape Volume 2, digital compilation that I did. They had a song on there called Up in the Air. One of my favorite songs that they did. That's going to be on here as well. Then we have 2 bands from Canada, they share a member. One is the Sangomas, and the other one is Sick Things. I'm not sure if you're familiar with those guys or not, but
oh yeah.
Yeah. So fantastic fucking kind of power pop, kick-ass rock and roll record. That's going to be phenomenal. I think there's going to be a new Sick Things song. I think they're planning on hopefully recording sometime in the next couple months. And actually, Sangomas, even though they were kind of broken up when they put that last record out, they are back writing songs now. So who knows what'll happen there? We may get a new Sangomas song. If not, we're going to use a track from the last record called Don't You Know Who I Think I Am, which is amazing fucking song. So either way, it's going to be a killer record. So I'm hoping to get that one off, as soon as I can too. But obviously we got to wait for some bands to record some stuff, or at least one band to record some stuff. And so that'll probably be, I can't even guess how long that one will be. But that's the third one down the pike. Anyway.
We've got some good stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff I'm sponsoring too. So I'm keeping busy. I'm trying to give back to the bands, There's a street punk band called Oil Change, which I sent you, I believe. Oh, yeah. I'm going to sponsor that release. In fact, we just got their stuff mastered for vinyl. And they're going to do a 4-song 7-inch. And JJ and the Real Jerks. My friend Rob is doing the artwork for their LP right now, their new LP, and I'm going to be sponsoring that. Probably doing an OBI strip like I did with the Killer Hearts, I think, because I can't I'm not going to be able to move a ton of them, you know what I mean? So it'll probably be 25 copies or whatever. The Methinks, I don't know if you know the Methinks from Texas, rock and roll band. They're putting out an EP. I might try to sponsor that one as well. And there's a couple other things too, but.
So on the topic of sponsoring records, you recently sponsored the amazing new album by Killer Hearts. So how did you end up getting involved with that project?
So when they put out their 4-song EP, on Spaghetti Town Records. I already had, somewhat of a relationship with Teddy Spaghetti from Spaghetti Town because he's been putting out great stuff for quite a few years now. And, I end up playing it on my shows and whatnot. And when he put that out, that Killer Hearts 45, I was just blown away by it. And especially Midnight Lucifer, that song, I don't know, I can't even count how many times I played that on my show. And it would be constantly stuck in my head. And then they had two other, I think they're both splits. One's a 4-way split. The other one was a 2-way split. I bought both of them. All the tracks on those were fucking killer. And I just fell in love with the band. I was just like, this is fucking great. It's like hearing Lucifer, like, but a little more punky. You know what I mean? Just,
oh yeah.
It's catchy, it's ballsy, it's gritty, it's glammy. It just hits all the right boxes, And so when I found out that they were doing an album with Spaghetti Town, I sent Teddy a message and I was like, dude, I don't know if you need my help or not, but I would love to be involved with this. And then I told him, I'll probably put in like, say $200 and, you can send me X amount of copies, whatever you think is fair. Anyway, he talked with the other label, Drag Strip Riot Records, and the band, and they were all cool with it. And so that's how that happened. I think I probably got involved with that at the beginning of the year sometime, but there's been so many delays with pressing and COVID and everything else that it was supposed to come out, I think, quite a few months back, but it's probably better it came out now because they're on tour now. In fact, I'm hopefully going to go see them in Philly next weekend. It happened pretty easy. It wasn't like I didn't have to chase anybody down or anything. But yeah, I was just stoked to do it because I just love the band. I just think they're fantastic. And I'll play the hell out of them anyway, regardless of whether I was going to sponsor it or not. So I was like, fuck, let me do something cool, and I had my buddy Rob do the OBI strips and stuff like that. And, the band was like totally kind of flippant about that. They thought that was real cool. So I sent them all extra copies of the OBI strips and the sticker and the postcard thing that I got done and the sponsorship sticker and whatnot. But yeah, it was I hope to do a lot more stuff like that because it's just a lot of fun. I've been actually talking with Marco from No Front Teeth about possibly sponsoring one of his new releases like that. Maybe like doing an OBI again or something like that. Not sure which one yet, but he does. He has 157 bands. The guy's a machine.
It's amazing. Just
absolutely amazing.
All the releases and all the different versions of each release.
Oh, I know. If you're a Marco fan, it's really hard because especially if you're a little OCD and you want them all, it's really fucking hard. I have just miscalculations. I probably have 3 versions of every LP and or maybe more, sometimes more. Sometimes there'll be a record store version and a test press and 3 different other covers. It's crazy, but it's such good stuff. And Miscalculations are one of my favorite fucking bands. So,
that's a great label to follow if you if you're a collector or if you just love great punk music in the modern day.
Yes, absolutely. They are just, it's amazing. The volume of stuff that he not only he does himself, but the stuff he puts out for other bands is just crazy, and it's all quality stuff. It's really cool.
So you play a ton of new music, a ton of old music on your show. I'm sure you're really following a lot of what's happening in new music. So in terms of new bands, are there current bands right now that are in heavy rotation on your personal turntable?
Yes. Well, the Killer Hearts record has been on my turntable like constantly for about a month now. I just can't get enough of it. Some Hearts as well. They're not on my turntable yet, but that I highly recommend their 4-song EP. It's on Bandcamp. It might even be for free. I don't know, but it's really quality stuff. Some Hearts are, if you like power pop, rock and roll, you will love them. There's a ton of new bands that are great, but there's a new band just played the past 2 weeks on my show called Dirty Flicks. They're out of kind of like the Philadelphia area, and they're kind of like, the first song was almost like pop punk, but power pop. The second single that they dropped was like wildlife at their best.
Oh.
So now those are the only 2 songs I've heard so far from the record, but I think the record might have, I don't know if it drops today or very soon, but that's a band to watch, I think. Dirty Flicks. I guess they were, some of the guys anyway, were in a pop punk band before that called the Lettermans or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you may be familiar with them because I think they did quite a few records. Lettermans. Yeah. But yeah, they have the new thing is called Dirty Flicks, Flix. I mean, not a new band, but the new Sonny Vincent record has been on constant rotation. The new Amyl and the Sniffers, the new Chubby and the Gang, the new Freddie DeLevy record. That guy has the voice of a fucking angel. I mean, it's just mesmerizing to hear him sing. Just love that guy. The new Methinks track on the Saucetex Records sampler, the newest Saucetex Records sampler. I love those guys. Always have. Total Massacre, best hardcore band on the planet. They're still pumping out great stuff all the time. I don't know how many singles they dropped this year, but it's been quite a few. And it's always just on point, like musically and lyrically. I mean, they're like DOA to me, you know, MDC, like
oh wow,
important music with something to say. And it's just, those guys blow me away. Just love that band. Total Massacre. I mean, I constantly, probably to ad nauseum, am saying that they are the best hardcore band on the planet, but I mean it. They are just fucking phenomenal. Mystery Girl. You probably heard the Mystery Girl LP.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's been on quite a bit as well. Just, man, they're fantastic, man. And of course, the new Suck record, even though it's not that new anymore. Fucking love that too. That was such a killer. So killer being in that video with you. It was so cool.
That's the best fantasy league to be in.
That's right. That's
fantasy beer league.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a great segue because as soon as I knew that I was going to interview you, I knew I wanted to ask you about beer.
Oh, so yes. Beer.
Different Good questions stuff I could have come up with, but I really thought this would be a cool one for you since you are a fan of so many genres of rock and roll. I'm sure you appreciate a broad range of genres of beer. So what will be your holy trinity of beer styles?
Well, I got to say, well before I knew what a hazy IPA was or a New England IPA was, I've always been attracted to cloudy beers. Like one of my first favorite beers was Hefeweizen. And you know, that's got a lot of yeast in the bottom, swirl it around and blah, blah, blah. So I've always felt like clear beers were like not as good as cloudy beers. Just a thing I've always had. And so I've always been hooked on beers like that, you know, Belgians with all the yeast in it, that kind of stuff. But New England IPAs, hazy IPAs, whatever you want to call them, I know that now they are the fucking thing, the trend or whatever, but I've always been there. Now they're finally plentiful, you know. There weren't that many of them when I first started digging on it. But now they're everywhere, and some of them are not so good, some of them are great, but you got to find the good ones, but that's probably my favorite style. Second to that, I would say English pale ales or ESBs. However, you can't even get good ones anymore. People used to carry like Fuller's London Pride as Fuller's ESB. I can't find that shit anywhere. One of my favorite beers of all time that a guy from England turned me on to is called Timothy Taylor's Landlord, which is a English quote unquote strong pale ale, but it's like 4.5%, right? So those are really high on my list if I can find a good one. I mean, there's the Trooper, the Iron Maiden beer. That's decent. It's not a great ESB, but it's not bad. It's nowhere near Landlord, but I'll take it. But that's about all you can get now. Like, you can't get
seriously
any of the. I mean, Landlord I can't find anywhere. Like if I was in California, I could probably get it, but here, nah. That's why I don't know. Did I tell you about the beer that I did with I brewed with Evergreen, or not Evergreen, I'm sorry, Englewood, too many E's. Englewood Brewing Company. Sorry, Jesse. Yeah, that's basically started off as a Landlord clone that we hopped with Centennial and Eldorado hops. So it's got a kind of an American twist on the ESB, and that's actually been getting some pretty good reviews on Untapped and stuff. And it's still there for now. I don't know how much they have left. They can't have too much left. I mean, it went on tap August 11th, I think was the date.
Oh wow!
Probably going to run out soon, but yeah, it's that was a lot of fun. And I say if I have to think of a third style, I would say sours. I know they're kind of all the rage now too, but I've always been like, probably the first sour I ever had was Rodenbach Grand Cru, which is like a Flemish brown or Flemish red, sometimes they call them, sour, and that thing was amazing. And then Lindemann's Creek, the cherry lambic, fucking amazing. So yeah, I would say New England style / hazy IPAs, though I think I prefer something that's actually New England style. And then the British beers, and then sours. That would probably be my three favorite.
A solid list for sure. So we're gonna stay on the subject of eatables here, and you do make your own hot sauce.
Yes, sir.
So what ingredient have you found to be essential or key in a delicious sauce that maybe other people might overlook?
Well, I don't think I'm doing anything that nobody else has done. I really I used to grow peppers years ago, and I hadn't for about probably 8 years. And then this year I started growing them again, and I was like, I'm going to start making sauce. So, the first sauce that I put out was actually made by Fired Up Foods in Canada. It was John Batan and his wife have the company Fired Up Foods, and John is actually in the band called School Damage.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you're familiar with them. He's in that band. Real cool guy. Great. I mean, the guy is an artisan chef, I think, when it comes to sauce. So I'd been talking to him for months, and he'd been sending me, things to try, like new sauces he was working on, and we would bounce ideas back and forth. So I learned a lot from him. And I mean, the guy just makes phenomenally delicious sauces, and they have some heat too. So learned a lot from him. And then when I finally started getting peppers this spring and summer, I started experimenting with stuff. And one of my favorite sauce makers, other than Fired Up Foods is a place in Colorado called Peck's Peppers. And one of my favorite sauces that they do is called Killer Swarm. Killer Swarm is scorpion peppers, wildflower honey, and lime juice. And so I tried to use that kind of combination and, just messing around with stuff. So, I don't know how many people use honey in their sauces, but that guy does. And so that's kind of like what I've been using in every sauce has been some wildflower honey. And I think the latest one I just did a new batch of sauce, which I actually sent out to some people. I made like 10 bottles. It was super small. But I just called it Legendary Suffering V2 because I had extra labels from the first batch of Legendary Suffering sauce. But I just got a review from one of the guys that got it, and he said it's a 7 on heat and 10 on flavor, which was a huge compliment to me because he was like, that's what I wanted. I want it to be good. It has to be delicious. It can't just be hot. I don't like hot for the sake of hot. I want it to be hot, yes, but it also has to fucking taste good. So I really think that that guy from Peck's Peppers was onto something with the honey and the lime juice. Goes a long way, I think. You got to put some vinegar in there as well. But this new sauce I just did has wildflower honey, lime juice, but it also has, I made hot pepper infused apple cider vinegar and hot pepper infused red wine vinegar.
Ooh.
And then I used all of that in this sauce, including the peppers that made the vinegar hot. So I had scorpions in there. I had Thai peppers, black prince, ajicitos, sugar rush peach, and some Barbados chilies, which are basically like habaneros. So all those peppers and a bunch of fresh scorpions. And I think it came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I probably never could recreate it because it was just winging it. You know what I mean? I kind of know what I did, but I just kind of I fermented a whole bunch of peppers. So there was the fresh scorpions, and then there was fermented all those other peppers. Then there was the peppers from the vinegar. So it's there were so many peppers in these. Hundreds of peppers in these 10 bottles of sauce. And it's pretty good burn to it, I would say. It's not a 10. It's not the hottest sauce you'll ever have, but it's hot and it's good, I think. So that's a win, I think.
I think that's what's important. You want the taste first, the burn second. So as we prepare to wrap up, I know you don't love to self-promote, but for the benefit of our listeners, where can they go to listen to your program and find out more about you and maybe follow you or maybe some of the music that you're selling?
Well, rnrmanifesto.com is the home base. That's where you can get my podcast. And there are links to my Bandcamp and stuff on there. It's rnrmanifesto.bandcamp.com. That's where all the Lonesome Kings stuff is, and any kind of records that I might have or sell or merch is on there. Instagram at RNR Manifesto, Twitter at RNR Manifesto, RNR Manifesto at gmail.com. That's pretty much it, I guess. If people want the podcast and they use Apple Music, it's on there. If they use Google Music, it's on there. If they use Amazon, it's on there. Stitcher, TuneIn, Podomatic, Podbean, all those places. It's pretty much there, except Spotify. Fuck Spotify. That's where you can find me.
Well, thank you very much for joining us and having a nice chat here on the Born Too Late podcast. We appreciate
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. This is the first time I've ever been interviewed for my show or whatever. So it was like kind of a really cool experience for me, a new thing. So I really appreciate you guys having me on, and I'd love to come back sometime. So
we would be delighted to have you come back. And
cool. Maybe Jay will make it next time.
Have part 2, and Jay won't be on the road.
Yeah.
That time, and we'll have a nice conversation.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Anytime, man. Just let me know.